Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of Allison's senior exhibition presentation. The last video, we ended on this painting, this abstract painting. So we're going to move on quick to this one is called Faith on Fire, and I used acrylic and graphite. So, since attending USF, I have been at witness to many people's faith stories. I created this painting with the intent of discussing how light can be seen in people with a fire in their soul for the Lord. A friend of mine who has had a consistent fire of faith is a big reason I have been able to see so many ways that God brings light in our world. The first night I met her, she asked about my faith. This was towards the beginning of my college career. At the very next day after I moved onto campus and witnessed the campus in general, she asked me about my faith, and I was immediately challenged without my awareness. Not expecting this question, I had a brief sentence about myself and God, and proceeded to ask the same to her. So you can just tell in a person's eyes when you know they have a true love of Jesus. A fire in a person that could not be shaken, because without a doubt she knew Jesus Christ. So in this piece there is a bit of spatial divide between the girl in the bottom left and the candle in the top right. Like I talked about previously in a different painting in the last video, I've been able to break up the way that I normally see space on a plane, and this shows that, and this shows how my raw brush strokes can divide space and time and kind of separate them, but also bring them together in the way that the colors are placed and the way that the line work is placed. So there is some, if you see up here, there is a little bit of graphite coming down towards this, kind of leading your eye, and then you kind of hit the girl, and then it leads you back up here because you haven't seen this yet, and it's kind of just coming all the way around the whole plane, the whole area. So let's focus a little bit more on this girl. The child is in this image is carrying a container of water through the streets of Cité Soleil in Haiti. Cité Soleil is a very impoverished neighborhood in Haiti where I got to bring clean water, a couple times while we were there for that week last May. Although I did not see her face, I am sure she has faith on fire. A kind of faith that brings these impoverished people so much joy in tomorrow, and faith that God will provide. And He does. He does provide. There is still so much sadness and despair and sickness and so many things going on in that area. But seeing their faces, seeing their joy when they are brought clean water, it is not every day they get water. And so when they do not take it for granted at all. They bathe in it right on the street. They bring as much as they can to their homes, to their tiny little homes, most likely housing many people, a large amount of family members in one small home. And they get clean water to bring there. So, here we have Esperanza de Agua. this is focusing on water. So all this talk and recognition of light as life brings me to a new point where the importance of water in this world is incredible. Water is cleanliness. So yes, there's more graphite in this. Graphite buckets, of course. We have buckets and pails. I really could have never seen metaphors in water buckets before my trip to Haiti and my time and reflection of faith this past year. The reason why the hues and lines in this piece are so intentional is because of life with water. We need to be intentional about what we use our water for cooking, drinking, bathing, whatever it is. It is everywhere, but we need to take care of each other with it and be mindful of our water. So, so now we have, this one is one of the first large canvases that I ever painted. John 1:5 says, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." Yeah, so this canvas was gifted to me. It was the first one that I created that was this large. It is 32 by 48 inches. It was so clean and white a year ago. And one day, a few weeks after returning from Haiti, I slapped on a brush, and the rest is history. Well, I mean, here it is. It's right here. It's not history. So I slapped a brush of paint on and didn't go back because these colors are what reminded me of so much emotion, so much joy and darkness and sadness, and I was crying for a week after that trip because I was humbled and so so much realization. You can never be the same after that. Anyway, although there is no bulb, there's no light bulb, there's no light source, or a super white area, to indicate light. I was able to produce colors of a memory. I hoped that after returning from Haiti, I would be inspired by all the vibrant colors around the buildings in Port-au-Prince. There are so many rainbow colors everywhere, and I thought, wow. While I was there, I thought that's what it's gonna be. That's what I'm gonna remember. I do remember those things. I do, but sitting down thinking, what is important about my experience there? And it was the people. Some reason the people were what came to mind. I saw people who had poured blood, sweat, and tears into businesses that provide jobs. That's all they want is jobs. A job to give them security. No handouts, no here's some money, do what you can with it. They want a job. And so these people are what was in my mind. The joy among hardship because of such faith in Jesus Christ. The light shines in the darkness. The darkness has not overcome it. Darkness never overcomes it because Jesus came and taught and died on a cross for us, and that is light in itself. So, yeah, these brushstrokes are some of my favorite. It was one of my first, and so I will never be able to. I didn't want to touch it. After I did this, I thought, oh, if I touch it, I'll ruin it. But I touched it a couple times, and this is what it became. And I don't know. It's just I was content with it, and yeah, made me happy. Made me think of those times that I was really reflectant. Like right after coming back, I was the most reflectant of Haiti, and I have loved continuing that reflection through this exhibition and through my senior year, because it really changed me for the better, and I know that I will go back one day and see it all again and remember why I created these things, why I was so inspired. Yeah. So we have now, this is called Dome. It is French for two hands. I first heard this phrase while in Haiti and have been reminded of the significance a few times since last May. It takes but two hands to make something out of nothing. Seeing God's light through his creations reminds me of his majesty. The way in which we are created in his image is incredible. I used my hands to create this piece. I used my two hands and simple paint to form the image of a child reaching out toward heaven. In some ways, I am this child. In some ways, we can all relate to this child. He created light. God created light out of nothing. And through the light of the world, we can find God's grace. So there's a skin tone color throughout the entire piece that was kind of printed on. It's acrylic, but I did some printing. And then there's loose white brush strokes, skinny white brush strokes throughout that kind of give a sense of a spirit. It was intentional for it to be kind of smoky and seeming like a spirit. And the baby fading out from the paint, coming up and becoming something out of nothing. So the last one is composition with seafoam green. I really needed to be working with green for some reason. Something inside me needed to work with green. This is a very tall canvas with layers of trial and error, but I came to be content with this because of one day I came into the studio after, well, this is how I left it the night before, and then I came in staring, the next day I came in staring at it and wondering what image I could draw on it. That made me realize it is beautiful the way it is, and I don't need to force anything onto it. I almost drew another child, and I think that would have taken away from the raw, simple self-interpretation that it can become for the viewer. So pictures do not do any of my pieces justice. However, I think this image does a decent job of portraying the lightness and darkness of this specific work. So that's all I have for you guys. I'll leave you with this. The sole reason for this topic and for these works to be created is to express a small glimpse into how faith and trust in the Lord can be transformative. It really has been for me. But thank you guys for coming on this journey with me.